Just matching me with the...
Yeah.
It's cute.
It is.
When you're ready, man.
Good. Yes. Sorry, I was thrown. I was thrown because you called me cute. So there's your pre-roll. there's your pre-roll for the thing. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Fine Watchers podcast, episode number
13. Yes, of season 2.
Indeed. And this time we are talking about materials of construction, cases, bracelets, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But, as usual, we start with a wrist check. For me, it is a Zenith flyback type 2 chrono, which is quite nice. Has the El Primero movement in it, which
Nice.
I've said on this pod many times before, is, I reckon, massively underappreciated
And in the flyback too.
one of the greatest of all time. So it's
The
amazing.
flyback's a great complication. It's a cool watch. I really like the dial on this one. I like that sort of blasted dial that goes kind of with the blasted case. It's really cool. Yeah, nice watch. El Primero, can't beat, can't complain with an El Primero. So great watch.
Indeed. And this is actually an improvement on the original ones, because the original ones were released well before the El Primero. So this is actually a better watch than the one that it's a re-release of.
There you go. Well, I'm continuing my trend of trying to be on topic, and so we're talking materials. So I wore a watch with a weird material. I've spoken about this a couple of times now, but I finally have the bracelet to go with it. So if you've been following along, you'll know about this. This is my Tudor Black Bay 925 sterling silver on a stainless steel Uncle Seiko bracelet, which I'm happy to say fits pretty well, and the colour difference is not huge, which was my main concern. Aside from it taking like a year to get here, which was insane. It took ages. But yeah, good fit, nice clasp, everything feels really good. So yeah, I've got my sterling silver on today.
Has it tarnished over time?
So yes, I've noticed now, even in the time I've had it, that the case sides especially are starting to go. Just a little darker, a little bit more dull, which I quite like. I like it at the moment. We'll talk about in the materials, the dulling of certain materials and how much I hate it with a passion. But the silver's not been too bad, so I'm pretty happy with this one.
I feel like the tarnish will look cool on the crown with the Tudor rose. Like I think
That's a good
you'll
point.
get that darkness in.
You'll never
the
see it on my
lower
watch.
bits.
It'll be cleaned up before
Yeah,
then.
clean it up.
Yeah. Well,
but even if you polish just the surface so that the indented bits keep
That's true.
the darkness, I reckon that'll end up looking really good. And this Uncle Seiko strap's great.
It's good.
I think.
Yeah, I got the Jubilee style. I
Very,
like
very
it.
nice aftermarket manufacturer.
I think so. So yeah, I'm happy with that one. But yeah, so like you said, like Ben said, materials. Most watches, as we know, are made from stainless steel. That's the prevailing winds blow to stainless steel, don't they, for wristwatches nowadays. However, we're seeing some really, really cool advancements in other technology that we wanted to share with you guys today, and not just the sort of 18 karat gold that we're used to from the past. So pick a watch, any watch, Ben.
Oh, let's start here at the front.
Big boy style,
Big boy style, IWC, beautiful case, beautiful movement. And this one is
Platinum.
platinum.
Yeah, so it's something that we're seeing more of now in the higher end. Platinum, notoriously difficult to work with, needs special tooling. Obviously, a very, very precious metal and a very rare metal. I think costs a lot more than gold to manufacture, just because of the tooling as well as the price of the metal itself. So we don't often see platinum, but we are seeing more of it on the high end. IWC have released this one here in a limited small seconds with a beautiful case back. We're going to talk movements and case backs in another episode, but yeah, we wanted to showcase this one because platinum, whilst very rare and very difficult to tool, doesn't have to be extraordinarily expensive. I mean, you can pick this model up on a strap for mid-20s, which is a great buy, I think.
I read somewhere that the total amount of platinum ever mined in the world fits into some ridiculously small space,
Yeah,
like a room.
it's very, very
There's
rare.
not much of it at all around.
One thing you
Which
notice
is why
with
it's so expensive.
one thing you notice with platinum watches is they tend to not be stamped on case backs or case fronts. They're usually between the lugs. So if you're not sure, because this one actually doesn't have a huge heft to it, which is surprising because platinum watches are generally very heavy.
Yeah.
This one's surprisingly wearable and manageable. So you might pick this up and go, oh, steel, but if you actually find the little secret between the lugs, you can see that it's stamped PT 950. I couldn't remember the platinum signal there. PT 950, yeah. So it's stamped in between the lugs usually. We see some beautiful examples from people like FP Journe. They do some great platinum pieces, but this nice little IWC. What do you think? What else? What's next?
Well, I think that the next logical one, I guess, really is into the golds.
Yes.
This one's a rose gold.
Yes.
It has, was it copper in it?
I think it is. It's a copper zinc alloy, is it, that they put into it?
That makes it a little bit reddish.
That's right.
Or rosy. I personally prefer rose
I do too.
over yellow, certainly for myself. And I don't know, it's a little bit more understated. I quite like it.
A little more modern, right?
Yeah, a bit more modern, and it goes with. I don't know. I find that it works better with more, certainly for masculine applications. So men's colours and that sort of thing. I think rose gold tends to work better.
I agree, and I think it also goes with more skin tones, which is something to consider.
That's correct.
Not everyone of a paler complexion like my British pasty self can go with a yellow gold, even though I've done it in the past with my Day Date that you might have seen on the episodes. But rose is just something that I quite prefer as well. I think it's interesting, especially with this, with the Rolex rose gold is very different to other manufacturers' rose golds. We've got another watch we'll talk about that's got some accents on it of rose gold. But a Vacheron is very, very different to a Rolex, which is different to an AP, because of the mix of the alloys that they are putting together, because it's not purely yellow gold. You do get some really nice colours of different reds and pinks. And I think Rolex do a really nice colour of rose in their watches.
Yeah, no, I like it, and I really like this one with the sort of brownish, bronzish face.
That chocolate dial, right?
Looks really, really nice together with the rose gold. Yeah, I think it's a nice material. I think it's a really nice alternative to just a plain, sort of white metal, whether that's white gold or stainless or even platinum.
Exactly.
It's got a bit of colour to it and a bit of excitement, and I quite like the rose gold.
I do think, especially when you go into the Rolex catalogue, if you're going to go rose, you should look for the chocolate dials. They only come on the rose, so go for the chocolate dials because it adds something to it. Because you don't often see brown dials nowadays, so yeah. I do quite like that as well. Well, if we're on there, we'll go straight to the opposite, right? We'll go to the yellow. Here we have the A. Lange & Söhne Grand Lange 1 in yellow, and classic, right? Classic. That's what yellow gold is. Classic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it works the best on. I don't love sports watches in gold. Like, I think gold is a soft alloy and gets damaged and bangs around really easily.
Yep.
The old thing of cartoon characters biting a coin, like that's because people used to bite coins to put a mark in it and to see, because pure gold is very soft. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. But on an application like this, where this is purely dress watch, this is purely, haute horology, you're really looking at. It works.
It does.
It really works. Yeah, I love those.
It's one of my favourite watches ever made.
It's hard to sort of put these down.
It is.
I really like these in a white alloy as well, but the gold certainly works here. And I mean, it's not really about the specific example, right? Like it's
the material.
This watch looks amazing, regardless of what you make it out of. But to me, yellow gold should really be reserved for the kind of certainly for men's watches, and I say that men's watches because these days everybody kind of wears what they like. But certainly, I think that for this type of dress watch, yellow gold is appropriate. I think for sports, not as much.
I tend to agree. I think there's some, but again, like we spoke about this in the last episode, there's that like fuck you energy of a sports watch in precious metal. We talked about it with the Bell and Ross, so it's just ridiculous. There is that like big fuck you energy that we spoke about recently with the Bell and Ross of having that sports watch in precious metal. It's totally impractical, like you say. It's a soft metal; it's going to scratch. But there's just something kind of cool about that I like. Maybe it's the Gold Coaster in me that I just think like, yeah, do it. Like we've got a few in the back here, and you can see like stainless steel Submariners, Sky Dweller that we've just shown. It's just not stainless steel, yellow gold Submariners. I just think they're kind of cool. And again, we talked about with platinum being stamped. If you're looking for a dress watch or you're looking for a yellow gold watch, you should be looking for a 750 stamp. Most decent modern dress watches or most decent gold watches nowadays are going to be 18 karat, which is 750. You can find older examples that are going to be plated, or you're going to find 14 karat every now and again, but realistically, you're going to be looking at 18 karat when you're looking at.
You don't actually want any higher than that because it starts.
It's
to
too
get
soft.
Too soft.
Yeah,
so
it's too soft. 22 and 24. 24 would just be. It would bend on your wrist. It'd be pathetic.
Look, don't get me wrong about the sports watches. I mean, this is a great example. That's a tool watch, arguably sitting in the sport area.
Yeah.
Given its sort of hefty shape or whatever, it's not. It's certainly not a strictly a dress watch. As you mentioned, so, some of the gold subbies and all that. Like, I mean, my comment is really about the intrinsic. It's the principle of it more than,
of course,
whether I think those watches look good. I think they look good, and there are certainly a lot of watches made out of stuff that there's no business making that particular watch out of it. You know what I mean? But
should we elephant on the table? If we're talking about soft materials, let's go to the hardest, and we'll go to diamond. This is something that some of you out there will hate, some of you will love, and that's the point. All right, watches are not for everyone. Not every watch is for everyone. So you may love it, you may hate it. I personally don't think I could pull this one off. I've had diamond watches. You've seen my diamond watch that I've had, which was a sort of partial, but coating watches in diamonds, or hand setting as this one is. This one's part of my company's jewelry selection that we do. It's hand set. We have, I think there's 17 carats of hand set VVS1 EF clarity diamonds in here, like high clarity diamonds. You can't scratch it. I mean, there's that benefit. You can't scratch it. It's not soft anymore. It will
scratch the shit out of things around it.
It will destroy everything around it, but yeah. And look, again, not for everyone, but I think there's something inherently kind of fuck you energy about it.
It's definitely the Wiz Khalifa edition, isn't it? It's like...
It's great.
It's funny, it feels light. It feels
because you're drilling.
Yeah,
so you're drilling the material out.
Some of the alloy in that.
That's right.
Yeah.
People don't realise that when they see these diamond watches and you think, oh, there's a lot there, there's a lot of substance. But actually, because you are hand setting them for the most part, you should be hand setting them. You're drilling out the material to set the diamond, and diamond weighs less than steel and definitely weighs less than the gold. So,
I just want to see what it feels like.
I'm excited
to be a baller. Like,
it's really like they're not for everyone, but I think they're kind of cool.
It actually fits.
There you guys can walk away with that.
It's too small for me.
I'll do you a 41mm up, mate. Nice and special.
That's terrible.
That's terrible. Look, again, not for everyone. But
it's definitely not for me. No, look, you know what? Like, I think, we are really remiss in having in the selection of watches that we've put together here, because obviously that's come out of our collections. It's come out of our both of our businesses' stock. So we haven't presented some of the things like this where, some of the beautiful jewelry pieces that are produced by, Piaget
exactly.
and all these fantastic houses that do really, really. I mean, actually, this is very, very nicely done. I'm certainly not having a go at this, but that's those.
It's a different market.
Those things are a piece of jewelry.
Yeah.
That are created specifically as within its own thing, as opposed to
almost
trying to
art.
embellish something else. We're perhaps a little bit remiss in not having some of those things here, and some of those things are mind blowing. The materials that they use on those, some of the enameling. On some of the Jaeger Reversos and other
Jacques
other
Droz,
pieces.
they do some beautiful
Jacques
stuff.
Droz. I mean, it's amazing the materials that are used out there, and we'll perhaps drop a few images of some of the ones that we don't have.
If I've done my job well.
That are well worth showing as well.
But I mean, if hardness is something that you're thinking about and you're not wanting that soft alloy, that's where we come into the next one specifically with ceramic, which is another good option for having a watch out of an alternative material, which is still a metal alloy, obviously, than ceramic. This piece here is an AP. It's a bit of a dinner plate. It's the AP Legacy Arnold Schwarzenegger in ceramic, titanium, and rose gold. So we're hitting a few little sectors there, and you can see the difference in the colour there on the
Slightly
rose.
different look on the rest. But even on my wrist,
It actually works.
Massive.
It works.
Really? I think that's massive.
It's a big watch.
That is a
Big watch.
massive
What's funny is I've sold that twice, and
Wow.
it gets traded in after a year or so. It's an interesting piece.
What do you think? I mean, we're straying off the material, but why do you think that is?
Market goes up on it. To be honest with you, it's just cashing out. That's what's been the last few times. It's been the market's gone up. It's a limited edition, as limited as this gets. I think it's like 2,500 pieces. So that's Omega style limited edition, but it's just a rare piece that you don't really come across that often.
Yeah.
And big guys.
I actually quite like the colour combinations on this one with that rose gold numbers and
it's a nice one.
and it's quite masculine, but still
Big watch.
retains an elegance to it. It is a massive watch.
But ceramic's a great material because, if you didn't know, ceramic is a lot harder than stainless steel. And it's not usually a huge premium on price on stainless steel. So a ceramic watch, essentially you can't scratch it. Obviously someone out there will be able to find a picture of scratched ceramic. That's fine. But for the most part, it's not going to scratch. One of the things I tell people is if you've scratched that watch, you've probably broken your arm, and the watch is the least of your problems. It's hard. So Omega do some great ceramics in the greys and the grey side of the moon, the dark side of the moon collections. Hublot, for all the hate they get online, Hublot pioneer ceramic watchmaking. Like
Tudor make a ceramic version of
a Black Bay.
Yeah,
That's
Black Bay.
right. I mean, the Hublots are doing orange ceramics. I think they're the only people that can do orange. They're doing white, I think purple, maybe Hublot do as well. Like, they do some really cool material stuff, so don't sleep on Hublot. We didn't have one here, but they also make a sapphire watch, which is insane. And again, very, very hard and scratch resistant. So ceramic's a great option for everyday wear because you can't really damage it.
One of the things that it's straying a little bit off the materials, we're going back to our episode a couple of weeks back about the Royal Oaks. One of the things I love about the Royal Oaks is the embedded Cyclops.
Yeah, it's the Panerai style, right?
It
The
sits
inverted.
inside. It's not even. I don't think it's actually on the
inside the crystal.
on the glass. I think it's in the face. No,
I off the top of my head, I don't know. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't know.
I think it's fantastic. I think it looks really good. I think it's people. There's armies of people who don't like the Rolex
The Cyclops.
And this just solves that problem completely. It's fantastic.
Well, something I hate in design, in material, is the next one, which is bronze. Here we have the Tudor Black Bay 58 in full bronze bracelet, bronze case. This one's patinaed. This is why I hate it, because bronze, fresh out of the case, is gorgeous. It's a beautiful coppery gold. I just think it's just the most delicious metal, fresh out of the case. 6 months to a year later, this is what you get. Now, you may look at this online and go, yeah, that looks great. It's unique. It's aged with me. But to me, I find it looks dirty. I don't like it. I know I'm probably in the minority there, but I just don't like it. And I have a bronze pen that I use every
Does bronze
day.
green off like copper?
It does.
Does it?
You can force patina it. Guys put like egg whites on them and stuff, and and it just looks like it's been at the bottom of the ocean for 10 years, and I hate it. But a lot of people love this, and that's why we mention it, because it's out there for everyone.
I don't know enough about bronze to comment on. No, to comment on its durability as its option as from a durability point of view. I mean, obviously bronze and copper and everything is associated with sailing and with water and with
It's fairly hard
and
wearing.
all that. So I'm guessing that there must be, and it's such a long-standing alloy in terms of human
Mechanical use.
history. With the Bronze Age sort of preceding just about everything else. So, yeah, I mean, there must be an advantage with it. I agree. I think the patina on them is something you either like it or you don't.
Exactly.
I think, and
I mean, anecdotally, we've had a few of these come through the past few years, and I've never really had them scratch up too badly. So I don't think it's that bad of a material choice in terms of hardness and wearing, like you say. But yeah, not for everyone.
maybe for it depends if you like it out of the box and you're the sort of person who's happy to look after it. Great.
It's a bit of
And
work.
if you like a bit of patina,
Yeah.
great as well. So
So another thing that we see, and we're seeing a lot more of now, and we talked about blackout stuff recently and black on black, and so we're seeing a lot of DLC coating, which is diamond-like coating, diamond-like carbon or diamond-like coating. I think it's coating, which is a very, very, very hard coating that is put over stainless steel or titanium usually. This one's in titanium, the Tag Heuer Monaco Dark Lord.
but it's a coating, right, as
It's-
opposed to the
Yes.
material.
It's not, from as I understand, it's not bonded to the material. It's not the material, but it's a coating. But unlike PVD, which you also see, which is a much softer version, diamond-like coating doesn't wear off, or it doesn't rub off. You can scratch it off eventually, and it will really, really scratch off, but much, much more hard-wearing than stainless steel, and much, much more hard-wearing than PVD. So that's a really interesting choice. If you like the blackout look, my recommendation is try and find something in DLC, not PVD.
Yeah, PVD. Unfortunately, there was a big trend of that. In the 70s, and through to today. But a lot of the examples that you see from the 70s have areas that are subject to wear are
Just
worn,
rub off, right?
and it just rubs off.
That's
So it's
a
hard
shame.
it's hard to find mint condition PVD
a really
pieces.
good solution to the blackout issue of being scratched off with PVD and even DLC to some extent is something that we're seeing in a very, very recent trend. Very recent trend, the last few years really, and that's carbon. So forged carbon cases. Here we have the Formex Essence Ligera, which is a forged carbon case and clasp. A few benefits. Obviously, when you scratch it, you're scratching into material, so the scratch will be the color of the material, but also the lightweight nature of this material. I mean, you can feel it's like you're wearing nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Forged carbon is extraordinarily light.
It feels lighter even than titanium.
I think it is. Yeah, it is lighter than titanium. And you chuck that on a very light rubber strap, and you've got a quintessentially sports watch. I mean, you can run marathons in that thing, and it's a great piece. So forged carbon is something that we're seeing now. You get nice patterns that emerge because of the forging process and the carbon process. You'll see on the Ligera as well, you're actually able to polish into a high polish, which is quite nice. So you can get different finish of the material. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what that trend does in the next few years with the carbon and the price of carbon coming down in their watch cases.
Yeah, I like this one. I think carbon is there have been lots of different applications of it, and including ones where you get that almost Damascus steel type finish where where you polish across the grain of the different layers of the carbon as well. Which I really like. This particular one has a sort of a solid finish,
Almost like a satin
which is
finish,
great.
right?
I mean, it almost looks PVD'd or whatever. But it is a solid material in this particular case. But yeah, no, I like the direction of carbon, and the lightness is cool. Yeah, I don't know how much lightness is too much though. Like I think there's something nice about
having a bit of weight on the
the
wrist.
heft of a watch
Well,
on the wrist.
I mean, pick that up and pick up the rose gold.
Yeah. No, it's completely,
night and day.
It's completely. It's amazing how different it is.
It's night and day.
It's amazing.
But I think the crux of it is that right now is a great time in watches because you can get so many different materials, and for the most part, I mean, gold and platinum. I mean, we're talking expensive stuff. For the most part, I mean, you can go vintage and find things, but the cost of materials is coming down so nicely that things like carbon a few years ago were really expensive because they were cutting edge. Now they're affordable. I mean, the Essence Ligera is like $3,000.
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting, like though you say that like the trend in materials tends to be in one direction though. So like a perfect example here is the blackness. Like it's a lot of it is around black. where, a couple of weeks ago we talked about the vintage side of things where, people, manufacturers, they do either a steel or a PVD case, but there were colours on the dial and things like that. So I think you do see crazy pieces like, that purple Hublot that you mentioned, and the Richard Mille all crystal cases and all those sorts of things.
But overall, the trend
great.
reverts.
But the trend tends to go towards, that still monochromatic thing. And if it's black, it's got a black or a white face, and then So I say, right direction, keep going.
More colour, more interest.
Colour,
Yeah,
more
fair
colour,
enough.
more interest. I really like that myself. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good summary of we've kind of shown a good cross section of the different materials. I think that we've sort of touched on the advantages and disadvantages of some. They all have their advantages and disadvantages, and I think the important thing is when you're looking at a watch for yourself, have a look into the advantages and disadvantages of each of the materials that you're considering, because not only new ones, but any watch that's coated, there is a chance you're going to bang it on something, and if it's not a solid material, there's a chance it's going to scuff, and if you've got a black watch, a scuff that otherwise you wouldn't notice, you're going to notice.
So if you scuff a PVD watch, it's over.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it.
You can't do
it's over.
terribly much about that. So short of redoing the whole thing, which is, but basically the answer is sort of to consider the lifestyle in which you're going to wear it. If you are going to actually wear your Yachtmaster on a yacht, maybe stainless steel, because that's the one that's going to take the most knocking around, as opposed to an 18-karat gold one or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it, is that case materials, consider the use, whatever you're doing, and make sure that it's appropriate for what you need rather than just the colour, because there are actually consequences for getting it wrong.
Yeah, and guys, let us know what you think. Put in the comments below. We say this every time. We love the comments that you guys are putting there and the community that's building. The Fine Watches community is becoming bigger and bigger every day, and we're really, really proud of that, and we're really happy. Let us know. What's your material choices of preference? Do you agree with what we said today? Do you like bronze and fuck me? Or do you hate bronze and fuck him? Let us know, okay? Put in the comments and be sure to like and subscribe. You can catch Ben on Instagram at FineWatchesAU. You can catch myself at GC Watch Guy.
And as always, from the Fine Watches podcast, from Lewis and myself, until next time, enjoy.
Take care.